Hi, my name is Donna and welcome to my sewing journey. Let's start another project together. How about we make this cute little mini wallet with a lobster claw that not only is expandable, but it has a cute little zipper pocket in the middle. We're going to add to it and we're going to put a credit card slot back here. Let me show you how we get this started. For your fabric, for the outer shell, you're going to need a 5.5 by 11. But if you have a patterned fabric that is one directional, you will in two pieces. You'll make the top piece 4 3/8 and the bottom piece 7 3/8 by 5.5. Then you're going to sew together the two patterns opposite each other so that when you open it up and you fold it over, the pattern will be upright. It's a 3/8 inch seam, and then you're going to put the interfacing after you press open that seam, then you'll put the interfacing on it. But the total will end up being 5.5 by 11. You're going to need the lining fabric 5.5 by 11. You're going to need 2 pieces for the sides to make the accordion sides. These are 5.5 by 7 inches. You're going to put the interfacing on in them, and then you're going to fold them and iron them in half lengthwise. I'll show you what we're going to do with that later. For the pocket, the outer pocket shell of the little zipper pocket, you're going to need 2 pieces of fabric, 4 3/8 by 3.5. And you want the interfacing completely on this side. Don't cut these shorter. Most of the interfacing are 3/8 smaller than the actual size, but not on this one. The lining for that zipper pocket, this lining is 4 3/8 by 6 3/8. Okay, for the credit card pocket, you're going to need a piece of fabric that's 5 3/4 by 5.5. And then what you're going to do is fold it right sides together along. This is 5.5, so you're going to fold it the 5 3/4 down in half. You're going to stitch a 3/8 inch seam in it, turn it right side out and press it flat like this. Then you're going to slide in a piece of interfacing. I just slipped it in there and iron, and this is 2.5 by 5. You also want to make a tab. This is 3 inches by 2 inches, and what I did was I fold it in half and then fold those halves into each other and then press it all flat so that we're going to stitch this. I also put one little strip of interfacing in there just to give it a little bit more stability. You're also going to need a 4-inch zipper, and this is one that already has zipper stops in it. And then you're going to need a split ring. The hardware that I use is a little split ring and a little lobster claw, and I bought this as a set. Let's get started sewing. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare what the 2 pieces that I need for the outer shell, which is the tab, which I'm going to top stitch on both sides 1/8. And on the credit card pocket, I'm going to top stitch right here. I'm going to go do that. I'll meet you right back here. Okay, the next step is we're going to place our outer shell face up on the board. You're going to take your lining and line it up on the inside of that. And you can see, I'll zoom in a little bit. I've marked the 3/8 inch seam all the way around. And now I'm going to mark the curves. I'm going to use this 1.5 inch radius. And this is the top. Remember, this is my top. There's the seam. This is the top. So this is the part that's going to be the flap. And I'm going to line up my curve tool. You can use a coaster, anything that you have that's round, a plate, a bowl, that has the curve radius that you want. And you could just line it up on the seams and draw that in there on both sides. Just on the one end because it's the top. Okay. Then we're going to flip this over. We're going to put this to the side. We're going to flip this over, and we're going to mark up 7 inches. 7 inches from the bottom. And you have to decide which side you want your tab on. I'm going to put it on the right side. You mark up 7 inches from the bottom. And then I'm going to stitch the tab here. And I'm going to take the pocket, the credit card pocket, and I'm going to put the stitched, obviously the stitched side up. And I'm going to lay that on that 7-inch. And I'm going to just mark both sides just to make sure it falls where I want it to fall on both sides. So the pocket's going to be under that line, and your tab is going to be above that line. And I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam here and here. And then along this bottom, I'm going to do a 1/8 top stitch and a zigzag stitch just to secure this in place. And I'll be right back. Okay, I sewed on my pocket, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/8 with zigzag. Sewed the tab at the top. Now we're going to take this and place it face down on top of our outer shell. Okay. I'm going to clip it. And then I'm going to stitch it all the way around. And at the bottom here, I'm going to just come in about 1 inch and leave this portion open. Not sew here, and just sew all the way around. When I go up here, I'm actually going to sew on the line that I drew. So I'm following that blue line that I made all the way around, except I'm not sewing down here. And I'll be right back. Okay, stitched all the way around. I trimmed my corners. I clipped my corners at 2 angles because it just creates less bulk here. And I'm going to show you what I do to make it easier for top stitching the bottom. When I have an opening, I'm going to fold it, press both sides, press both sides just so that way it's easier after I turn it. To top stitch it. So I'm going to turn this inside out, and I'm going to top stitch the top of this, and I'll meet you right back here with the next step. Okay, I did the top stitching. I only did top stitching from the top of the credit card pocket around the curve, and then across the very bottom. I didn't do the sides because that's going to be where the accordion goes, and we'll have a lot of top stitching here, and you don't want too many layers of that. So you're going to set this aside. The next thing you're going to do is make a zipper pocket with your 2 small pieces and your lining. And you can watch my other video on how to do that. But basically you're going to have the top of the zipper. You're going to have this up. The lining will be down. You're going to center that. You want to make sure that the zipper stop is towards the, I'm going to bring this up here so you can see, towards the end of the fabric. And then you're going to center that, and then so that the back stop is still within this fabric. And then you're going to put the top, you stitch that, do the other side, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, I sewed the zipper pouch, and then I top stitched both sides, sewed it. Then I matched the bottom of the outer shell and just did a 3/8 inch stitch. I had the zipper open just to make it easier to turn. And I'm just going to flip the whole thing and push the lining in, close it up, and line it up. What you can press open this seam. I'm just going to finger press it open. And then put the lining in, make sure the lining is nice and flat in there. And then after I get that in there, so see how the lining is matched up. Press it. Then I'm going to press this, and I'm just going to top stitch right here on both sides. And 1/4 of an inch, because, and I'm going to clip the excess zipper off, because this is going to be covered up in the accordion. I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, the zipper pocket's all done. I quarter stitched both sides and it's ready to go. So I'm going to lay that off to the side with the outer shell. Now we're going to do the sides, and we're going to start out with, the reason that I pressed it with the right sides on the outside is because that's where we're going to end up. However, we're going to now fold it the opposite way to make the accordions, the little, the stretchy part. So you fold them, and just to keep it in place, you can do it however you want, but I like to put a little pin here so that the fabric doesn't slide all around. And then I lay it flat, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this raw edge down here. I'm going to measure this out 5/8 of an inch on each side. And mark it. And then I'm going to use my rotary tool, and I'm going to put the edge here to this corner here. Can you see that? Make sure that's centered. From the edge of where my mark is, that 5/8 mark, and bring it to this corner here. Press down, and I just use my rotary tool and cut that. I'm going to do both sides. I'll do the other one as well. And then I'm going to stitch. I'm going to stitch over about an inch, leave an opening, stitch, and stitch down here. And this seam is going to be 3/8. I'm going to leave this opening. I'm going to press that opening like I showed you before. I'm going to press that opening so that after I turn it, all I'm going to do is top stitch this bottom part. And I'm going to do that with both of them, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, I finished both sides. I pressed them, I stitched them, pressed them, turned them, and I top stitched just the bottom. And now I'm going to show you how to make them the accordion style. You're going to fold them in half, and and the most important part is pressing this. You want to line up this corner and this corner so that when you fold it in half, you get a nice solid line. And what I like to do is I take a ruler and I just put it in here, and I just kind of use the corner of that to press that so that there's not bunched up fabric here, so that when I press it, I get a nice crisp seam. See how that's nice and crisp? Then you're going to fold on this side. You're going to fold it back, and you're going to match this straight edge. You want to match this corner with this here, but you want to match that straight edge. And I do the same thing with the ruler. Just take that corner, stick it in there, and just press it so that it can get a nice flat corner. So it'll be nice and repeat it on the other side. Again, I'm going to match up this bottom and then this long side. Take my ruler and push it across just to make sure that there's no bunched up fabric in here. And I'm going to press that. When you're done, as you can see, you want to have like the little accordion, and I like to turn it so it looks like a little W. The shorter end, you want the longer end at the top, the shorter end at the bottom, and you want it to look like a little bit of a W, so that when you stitch it in here, It'll look like this part will be to the outside, and these two will line up, and I'll show you how to sew that on in a second. First, we're going to mark this, and then I'm going to press the other one, and then I'm going to show you how to mark this and how to stitch these on. Okay, now we're going to mark where we're going to put our accordion little pieces. And remember, these are going to go to the outside. Okay, you're going to measure from the bottom up 3 3/8 from the end here and mark it. And then 4 1/8, which is right where my pocket's sitting. So 3 3/8 on both sides. And then again, this one's going to be 4 1/8. It's right where my pocket's sitting. So that works out. And what we're going to do is, see how this is sitting like this? So the point's to the outside, the smaller end to the bottom. We are going to put this here and line this up with this one. And I'm going to top stitch here. And then I'm going to fold this over. It'll actually look like this. And I'm going to top stitch this side in place here. When I do it, I actually do this side first and then top stitch this side because for me, it's just easier, but you can do whichever works best for you. And I'm going to put both of these on each side. And I'm going to show you how to add the zipper pocket. Okay, I sewed it onto the top part, and I just want to show you a little trick that I do. I just kind of push it like this. Push it like this. And I line it up with that mark. And since it's wide and open like this, and I just push, I make sure that the bottom is on that mark, and then I put it here, and then sew here. It just makes it a little bit easier. If you don't try to keep the fold while you're doing, you push it all the way in the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and sew the other side, and then show you how I add the zipper pocket. Okay, here we are with the little accordion. I call them accordion, but the accordion sides all sewn in. And how I sewed them is after I sewed the top, to sew these bottom ones, I start at this end and sew them up to the fold on both sides. And then I push these back into the place where they're supposed to be. Then all you have to do is figure out which side you want your zipper to go to in your pocket. Sit that up there, and you're going to slip them down in, push it all the way down to the bottom into those inner folds. And what you're going to do is pull this one fold. I grab it here and pull it so that I can pop that out. And I'm going to match the bottom up with the bottom of my little accordion piece here. And make sure it's completely seated inside that fold. And then you're going to stitch right here. And then you're going to repeat it on the other side. And then basically I'm going to show you how we add a snap and add that lobster claw, and we'll be done. Okay, I finished sewing the zipper in. As you can see, I have the little seam on both sides. Tucked it back in there. And now it's ready to get the snap. How I like to do it is I fold this in half. And I just kind of mark it. And I fold it flat and pull it down. And then just try to decide where I want it. So here's my center mark. And I decided to use gold. So I have two of the end pieces. I have the male and the female part. I like to put the male part on the top, and the female part you snap it into. And I set it like this so that I can line it up where I want it. And I think I'm going to put it right here. And I decided on gold just because I think it'll look good. And I'm just going to pull up on this so that it goes all the way through. And it's really hard to see, but there's a small mark right here. And I'm going to push down a little bit and pull that next layer up into it. So now that I have a hole in both. And I don't have a hole any beyond that. After I make my holes, I'm going to put the one piece in here. into that hole. Push it all the way in. And I bought a set that came with the tool. And I'm going to put the female part on this side. Put the tool in there. Get that lined up. Make sure it's not slipping. And squeeze it. And that part's already in. We'll do the same thing for the other side. Put this in your hole. And the male end. Get that lined up. Make sure it's centered. Squeeze it. And there you go. And then you can just snap your snap. And your wallet, you can press it, and you can press the seam in here, but as you can see, because we put that seam, we have this is upright and this is upright on both sides. And the lobster claw, since this is a little split ring, just find the end. Where's the end? There it is. Find the end and just put that on. And then it's all done. You can also put a key ring there, whatever you want. Okay, so we're all done our project. Has the little snap, our little lobster claw, our little zipper pocket. And it has a little place for the credit card in the back. You can see that. So we are finished. Our cute little wallet. You can use it for, like, if you're going to a concert or maybe to a museum or something where you want to have a little bit of cash with you, your credit cards. You just don't really need to carry your big purse. Carry this. And you could put it on a wristlet, or that's why I like having the little hook, because you can hang it on a lanyard, little wristlet, whatever. So if you enjoyed making this project with me, subscribe to my channel and follow me for more. We got more things coming. Have a great day sewing.